Good morning. Denise Dryden, adjusting my camera here. I'm live out on Bainbridge Island. It's Sunday morning, and this is the weekly discussion I do on the different ways we can approach life. So today is a tool on emotional reactivity. What are we going to do with emotional reactivity? So we've been experiencing a lot of different kinds of feelings right now, right? Whether it's anger, frustration, blame. We have these stirring of feelings. We've got worry, we've got fear. When we kind of look at it from the bigger perspective, we've got countries that are going into a second lockdown. We've got the election that is sort of off the charts reactive, right? What else? What else is going on with you? Are you working from home? Are you spending way too much time in front of screens? Are your kids spending way too much time in front of screens? What's really going on? So what the bottom line is that everything here is different. It's unsettling. And it's hard to keep ourselves balanced and stable. And our mind, we're like, we react, then we calm down, then we get really low, then we go back up. And we're all over the place, right? Because these emotions are difficult. They're challenging. So there's, with this great deal of energy that's going around, what we want to do is we want to learn how to move and navigate within it. And so what I want to talk about is how we navigate with ourselves and how we navigate with each other. So that other person that we're interacting with may have issues. They may have something going on. And we don't know exactly what that is. But they will consistently hit a couple of our 2 or 3 main areas. So let's pay attention to that. So the first thing that they're going to hit is the imprinting. And imprinting is, what was established in our early childhood and the things that were built into us by our first experiences, in the first couple of years growing up. Second thing it's going to hit is our patterns, which are those repetitive pieces of information that came from parents, teachers, adults, people in our world. The third thing is it's going to hit our conditioning, right? And our conditioning is those intellectual responses where we do something based on social expectations. So we do this and you get that result and you're like, okay, do that more, right? And the last piece is the ego, right? Which is that repetitive response to getting a successful response, which is when I do that, look what happens. So there's a difference between conditioning and ego, which is ego's where it's like, oh, I know how to make things work really well. So I'll give you an example, and I'm going to take about 3 families I've been working with lately and sort of blend them together so I'm not specifically working on any one person. You can use this as an example if you have children, or you can start to translate it into something that you might be experiencing yourself. So the example is, I've got a son at home and he's not doing any of his schoolwork, period. He doesn't want to do schoolwork. He doesn't want to talk about preparing for college. He's in his junior year, and this is the big year. This is when everything has to happen. And this is the year that matters, and he doesn't care about his grades or his GPA. He hates school. And he gets angry with me when I talk about it. So I work with families that have teenagers that are really struggling, and this is a very common symptom right now, and especially right now during the junior year. So you can switch this example. If you have younger kids, you could switch to something like, my children never want to go to bed at night. It's a big power struggle to get them in bed. My partner, he is always on screens. And I have to sort of vie to get attention. Or the other one might be, I've got a parent that calls me every day to talk about what's going on in the news because she is worried. Right? So you get it. This is where something's going on. So when we have an issue, it's a disruption. If there's tension, there's frustration, we react. We're like, why is this happening? I want my kid to get through school. I want my kid to figure out how to do this online stuff. I want my kids to go to bed. I want my partner to pay more attention to me, right? There's all of those things. So what we're going to call that is an energetic disturbance. It's like, oh no, something has started to hit my internal interface ability to handle this, right? Oh, it's like, oh, okay. So the first step is to catch this. And this is like, oh, I'm having an energetic reaction, because emotions and feelings are energy in motion, and something just came and smacked me. And I'm like, wow, I'm having a reaction to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend this session, it's going to take maybe, hang in there. It's usually about 12 minutes. So, we'll get there. And we're going to work on an emotional reactivity tool that I call Neutralize, Hold Compassion, and Normalize. And I'm going to walk you through it, right? So let's go through the first one, Neutralize. I've got my notes here and they're blowing around because it's windy and it's raining underneath the roof outside behind me. So how do you know if it's you or if it's them? How do you know that? How do you know if they're having a problem and you're reacting to it, or you're having a problem and they're reacting to it, right? So here's a simple experiment. If you've been acting really big, attached, pushing, forcing, go small. Go down. Go down to neutral. If you've been pulling back and hiding and pretending like it's not going on, go out. In both cases, observe cause and effect. When I calm down, what happens? When I come out, what happens? So what we're doing is we're looking for a reaction, such as one of the examples is that when my son, dismisses me, right? Because I'm talking to him about school, I get bigger and I follow him around the house, and then I start to remind him all the time. That's called big, right? Or the other one is I can't talk to him, so I just walk away. And I've got a mom who says, I don't even know what to do, so I just dismiss him and leave. And so when that's either too big or too small, the idea is to change that up, right? Switch it around. So when we neutralize, we don't become part of the problem. We become the wise one, because we're the adults, right? We're the adults and we know what to do. Makes sense, right? So as adults, we go, I'm not going to piggyback on this problem. I'm going to figure out, I'm going to change it and observe and watch what happens, right? So how to neutralize is, number one, drop into presence. Absolutely drop into presence. Bring yourself in. Concentrate on your breathing. Stabilize your body. Relax your body if it's been expanded. Bring it in. Or if your body's been hiding in avoidance, move your body and start to open it up. So to neutralize is to go from whatever was contracted or expanded and bring it to neutral. Change it. Get it to neutral. And then pay attention with all of your senses. Once I've stopped being contracted and I'm out there and I look around, I'm like, oh, I'm noticing there's tension in the whole house when these two go after it. Or I notice that what my body is doing. So what we're doing is we're gathering information, and we're gathering it from our senses, we're gathering it from our intuition, we're gathering it from all these different places, and you sort of look for, where's the charge? Where's the emotional reactivity starting? What's it about? And you neutralize it, right? So you neutralize your entire field, and you watch, and you gather, and you see what's going on. Because if you don't do that, then you're just like, and you keep going after it, or you keep hiding from it, and you're not participating in it. You're not changing anything. So the second piece is that once you've figured out how to neutralize, and you're here, you go to compassion. You go to compassion for the other, and you go to compassion for self, which is a sympathetic consciousness of distress. It's like, oh. And that's the thing I do when I do compassion. It's like, I have to step out of criticism and judgment and into seeing and feeling them and going, oh, so this is what he looks like when he's stressed out. This is what she does when she's afraid. This is what I do when I feel out of control. That's what this is. So compassion is matching it and going, I feel it and I understand it. And I would never want to be the one who piles on top of that and makes it more painful. I'm not going to be the one who piles on top of a stressed out teen. I'm not going to be the one who puts more friction in someone who's avoiding me and hiding in their screens. I'm not going to be the one who piles on myself when I'm already spinning. So you lighten the pressure, you lighten the forcing, you lighten the reactivity, and you stop being part of the problem. You release. So the first is that you identify the energetic charge. With compassion, you release the charge with love. You just simply release it. You go, you know what? There's love here, and I have to be able to understand there's something bigger going on. Okay? So the third thing, once we've neutralized, because, I wanted to show you, because what we don't understand is that when somebody is really in reaction, there's things like this going on. They're in their head, they're exhausted, right? Or they don't know how to deal with all of the pressures, all of the anxieties, right? Or they're so contracted and inside, they don't know what to do. And then we come in and we're all like, this is what I think you need to do. This is what I think you need to do. Miss Judgment, Miss Morals, Miss Mom with a plan, right? And when we go to compassion, we look like this. We breathe. When we're in compassion, we're holding our heart. We're like, oh, yeah, that's what's going on, right? It's much easier when there's a little bit of a visual on that. So the last piece is to normalize. Now, normalize it's a word that has some interesting definitions to it. Like how to take something that's horrible and normalize it. Now, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is return to your normal, return to your balanced state, what makes it normal for you. So this means letting go of trying to change or direct or force something, that you can't or that you don't want to do what you need to do for you. So, one of the examples I have from my coaching is one of the dads goes, you know what? I figured he's probably hungry, so I just go in the kitchen and do what I like to do, which is cook a meal. And if he's hungry, he can have some. So I'm feeding him. I have another mom who says, when she starts to get really worked up, the thing that happens is that she has to back off. She has to go like, you know what? I have to back off. And I have to tell my son, oh man, I all of a sudden got a hold of something and started coming at you. I'm just going to back off and go take care of me. So that what we're doing is we're talking about what's actually happening, right? And for yourself, what do you do in order to integrate and gather all those parts of you that was scattered from this emotional reactivity, this like shit show that just happened, right? And how do you become softer and more understanding? So to normalize is to make it okay that this is going on, that this can be positive when we collect all this information and we know what's going on. So the example is that there must be some really big stuff going on around school, and school is a bigger issue than I ever thought it was. And this screen teaching is making it worse. Or there's some resistance. There's some resistance and some intention issues when it comes to bedtime, and my little ones never want to give up that day. Or this is the way that I get worked up. This is how it happens with me. And so what we're doing in all situations, we're normalizing it. Yeah, of course. My kids never want to go to bed. Or, this is what I do when I get worked up. And so by normalizing it, what we're doing is saying, so this is who I am. And now that I know that this is me, how do I choose to do it better, softer, different, kinder to myself, to other people, because I believe that we're going to have all sorts of different kinds of challenges ahead of us. This week, next year, I don't think that any of this is going to get easier. We are in a place of changing, and we're creating a new normal. So we're not going to go back to there was a great time when. What we want to do is we want to go to now. This is the new normal. How do I normalize it and do what I know how to do to make it okay? So the most important thing that we can offer is to deepen our self-care and our collaboration with those around us. Doesn't that make sense? Just deepen our self-care and our collaboration. So it's easy to go to the patterns and to fight. We all know how to do that, right? It takes such courage, such courage to know that all change starts within us. And so the first thing we do is we neutralize, we show compassion, we hold compassion, and we normalize. So that's the tool that I have for today. There's lots of tools always on my videos. You can find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. You're also on my YouTube. You might be on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to that, please do that. And I will see you next Sunday with another great new topic. Talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.